orcs. In literally every game, they are presented like these really mean but resourceful guys who prefer not to build stuff but blow shit up. So that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing here. Hi, I'm Amon, and I tried doing a lore-accurate way of playing orcs in Warcraft 3. That means zero constructive actions and a whole lot of destruction. Or in plain terms, no building buildings, no building units, and no recruiting mercenaries. So what I start the level with is all I'm going to get. And I also had to play on the hardest difficulty. God help me. I did a similar challenge for the human and undead campaigns, so I kind of knew what I was doing. However, these campaigns didn't have levels where I have to kill a literal deity with 5 units or harvest 15,000 lumber with only 6 workers. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have a couple of intro missions to deal with first. Don't worry, there's gonna be plenty of suffering down the line.
You can't milk those!
And the challenge starts off just like the previous two, with a good old mandatory no-build mission. And just like in the previous two challenges, the first mission was used to collect as many potions as possible because once again, I'm gonna be needing them very soon. During the mission, I met a friendly cowman who decided to be my friend.
You can't milk those!
And as we all know, nothing cements a friendship more than mass centaur genocide. Okay, the mandatory first level no build mission is done. Time to start the challenge. Oh wait. Who the heck thought it would be a good idea to start the campaign with 2 back-to-back no build missions? But whatever. I once again collected all the potions I could, and I even managed to buy a couple at this random shop in the middle of the map. I am definitely gonna need them for the next level. And me and my good friend the cowman cemented our friendship even more by killing the rest of the centaur race.
Ah, supplies for your journey. Oh, that's wonderful.
Okay, now we have arrived at a regular build mission. It took us a while, but we made it. And the game throws us in the middle of a fight where my friend Gromm wants our help to clear out some humans. But lore-wise, Gromm really likes fighting humans, so I will let him do his thing on his own, while I go towards the top of the map. The objective of the level is to hire 2 airships. The shortest way topside leads through a centaur camp, and turns out these guys still haven't suffered enough, so I killed them and took their spoils for myself. Then I snuck with my units through an enemy base where the slowest of my units didn't stand a chance. RIP Kodo Beast, you will not be forgotten. The Zeppelin factory is being guarded by a bunch of harpies, but the most painless solution here is to bait them one by one and take them down. And while in the middle of the fight, time and space suddenly shifted and I found myself next to Gromm, who finally destroyed the enemy base. If you've played the level before, you will know that Gromm attacks the enemy camps, after which they will start sending attack waves towards you. But he only starts doing it when I've built my base, so I have all the time in the world to finish this level. I used that time to finish the Harpy Queen, and I've roamed through the map to find and collect useful items like health potions or claws of attack from a particularly angry Sasquatch. And this is where the potion and item collectathon comes into play. In the first 2 videos, I used those items to be able to beat really tough missions, but here I use them for something else. Remember the Undead campaign, where I managed to give the Lich, who I don't have control over, a bunch of armor items to make defending him a lot easier? Well, I can do the same thing here. Turns out the next level is just awfully difficult, and I will need every advantage I can get here. So I gave Mr. Gromm here a bunch of items. Because trust me, winter is coming. Okay, and now is the time to finish the level. I killed the harpies guarding the factory, and I can't buy anything. Turns out you are forced to build a town center to actually be able to buy stuff. So this is yet another mission where the game forces me to build something. But again, I managed to beat the level beforehand, so I'm totally okay with that. So I built a town center and hired 2 Zeppelins. Now, if you like collecting wood, I'm gonna give you 15,000 reasons to watch the next level.
It's like death by a million paper cuts.
You know the expression death by 1,000 cuts? Well, this is probably what death by 15,000 cuts feels like. The objective of this level is to collect 15,000 wood, and I have to do that with 6 workers. How fun. There is only one saving grace on this level, and that is that I'm enclosed in my initial pit and the enemy only starts attacking after the tree line towards the map is cleared, which the game expects to happen right away. Well, turns out if you don't listen to the game and start cutting trees from the back of the base, you can actually collect around 3,000 wood before you are forced to cut down the wooden gateway towards the enemy elves. So now it's only 12,000 to go. The enemy loves using flyers on this level, and they also love focusing down my wolf raiders, who are the only ones who can bring them down with their nets. And after the very first attack wave, most of my units are half dead. Thankfully, one of the items that I got from the last level were healing wards, which heal my units quickly when they are around them. After that, I discovered a couple of goblins to the east, and would you look at that, they have 2 tree shredders that they are willing to borrow to me if I kill an enemy bear. And his camp of bears is just too insane for my units. But thankfully, there is a trick to beating them. You can bait them behind these 2 houses, and he will be the only guy attacking you. So with a couple of potions that I got from the last level, I managed to take him down. And now I have 2 shredders who collect a whole 200 wood before returning to the lumber mill. Which is perfect, because now I've gotten quite far from my initial area, and since I can't build lumber mills next to the trees, my peons have to walk for 5 miles before dropping their miserable 10 wood that they are carrying, so that will make my life a lot easier. But that is still not enough. The enemy attacks often and their waves only get bigger and bigger, so I have to find a way to finish this level as soon as possible. And the solution? Cutting down trees. Alive trees. If I cut one of them, I gain 3,000 wood for free. So I went to the south alcove, killed a few defenders, and cut down a tree with my swords. And then I get attacked by 5 flyers who still focus down my 3 guys who can net them down. I barely managed to take them down, and these waves are only gonna start getting larger. I had to win as soon as possible. So the next plan was to attack the eastern tree of life, which also has very few defenders. These are the only 2 quote-unquote free trees on this level. The rest are in the enemy bases. Thankfully, this was enough to bring me just above 14,000 wood, so after 2 more shredder drop-offs, I actually managed to collect 15,000 wood with only 6 starting workers. After beating this, I can take on anything you throw at me, you filthy elves.
Brown, disgusting sewage water was dripping all over my bed this morning.
Oh yeah, turns out the night elves have a demigod on their side, and that demigod destroyed 3 of my bases on the next level. But not before I managed to smuggle out a couple of workers out of them, and tasking them to attack some randomly looking trees to the north of my base. These workers are traumatized from the last mission and want to stick it to the trees. Oh, and turns out the demigod has a huge attack wave which he throws at my base. But thankfully I just unlocked my ultimate spinning strike, so I killed most of the ground units attacking me. The problem here though are the dragons they send after me. And since I don't have any wolf riders on this level, I can only rely on ranged attacks to take them down. They killed a lot of my defense buildings, so defending from future attack waves is gonna be a real pain. But after a while they fell. The next step in my plan was heading north to kill some bears next to a shop. Thankfully, this shop doesn't need me to kill a bear boss to buy items from it, so I was able to buy some handy potions for the next part of the level. And that part included a couple of goat guys defending a portal, but a spinning strike took care of those. Next were a couple more goat guys surrounded by a goat boss. But my potions and mirror images of me helped me tank the damage and I killed them all. And after the exhausting fight, I stopped at this unassuming fountain to clench my thirst. But after I tasted the water, I realized this was actually a sewer water source. And this enraged me so much that I turned red and started dealing chaos damage. And nothing was safe from me now. I went after the south enemy base to bait the enemy god out. He appeared with a bunch of friends, but I managed to kill most of them with my spinning strike. That being said, he is still insanely powerful. and he also does chaos damage. My mirror images are a great tanking tool, and a couple of healing wards from my shamans really helped as well, so I was able to survive long enough to deal the killing blow to him. And this is the story of how 5 units managed to single-handedly kill a demigod. And Mr. Gromm can finally retire now.
You distract the battened bird while I prepare.
But that doesn't mean Mr. Thrall can rest as well. Even though I thought I could have time to relax after dealing with a very difficult mission, turns out they gave me an even more difficult mission. And the major reason for the difficulty are harpies. Turns out only 4 of my units can hit air units, and this level is infested with them. But before we fight them properly, I found a shop and bought some potions. And after that, I found some more centaurs, and since I now have control of my common friend, we cemented our friendship some more. The next step was killing the harpies with my 4 units. The name of the game here is the Healing Ward, which I thankfully had access to. The harpies got baited one by one, just like on mission 3, so that made my life a bit easier. In the meantime, an attack wave came to my base, so my land attacking units can have something to do as well. After ridding the world of the harpies, I rescued 6 bat riders, and these guys are gonna be really useful for the final stretch. The goal of the mission is to destroy the enemy base located up a cliff, so I can only reach it with my very damaged Zeppelin, which I started the level with. And the base is surrounded by bird riders, so my bat riders show them who is cooler at riding flying stuff. But before attacking, there is another enemy attack wave that I had to deal with. I don't need my production structures at home, but I will lose the level if they are destroyed. And then it was time for landfall. The enemy had a massive base, a bunch of units, and a bunch of production structures to replace them with. It took me several attempts, but I got lucky in the last one because the enemy loaded a bunch of rifle dwarves into a couple of zeppelins. So I was able to shoot them down and kill the dwarves inside, so nothing could stop my bat riders anymore. Then I used Earthquake on 3 enemy production structures, and the rest of the base was an easy cleanup. The enemy did manage to launch a small attack wave onto my base, but my brave workers managed to stop them from destroying my buildings. Power to the workers. But I left one enemy building standing to buy a couple of potions for the final 2 missions. But in the end, a massive attack wave started attacking my base, so I finished the level before they finished me off. And that was it. Bat riders are cooler than bird riders.
Today I don't feel like doing anything.
And if you thought 2 no-build missions in this campaign were all you would be seeing, think again. As I usually love to say, there is always a throwaway mission before the finale, so welcome to that mission. I'm not gonna spend too much time here, I'll just say that I again collected as many potions as possible, together with a couple of neat items that are gonna give me some additional health in the final mission. And you will soon see why. Unfortunately, there weren't any centaurs in the cave, so I had to satisfy myself with committing kobold genocide. And I also saw a really weird statue that really didn't feel like walking, so it literally dragged itself to attack me.
Pikachu, I choose you!
And we have arrived at the finale. Final missions are usually insanely difficult macro missions or festivals filled with cheese. This one belongs in the latter category. First, I took my units to the north, and then I killed the rest of the centaur race to finally rid the world of them. They were guarding a shop which had a couple of potions that I bought. I start the level with a solid number of units, but I'm playing against angry orcs who deal chaos damage. But unlike the rest of the campaign, I'm totally okay with them dying. I only need them to buy Thrall some time so he can quickly climb to the top of the cliff. The problem on this level are orc warlocks, who love throwing stun spells at me, while the rest of the guys gangbang me with chaos damage. Thankfully, I have a couple of healing items which I used to sustain myself on my way to the top. When they finally left me alone, I used some of my items to heal myself, and I quickly moved to Angry Gromm's throne room. The objective of this mission is to capture Angry Gromm in my special Pokeball and bring him back to my base. The thing here is that there is no special procedure to capture him. I just have to walk next to him and use the item on him. After that, I ran out of the throne room and it was time for the worst part, the exit strategy. Turns out, after running out, 2 infernals jump onto me, and bro are they strong. I tried playing Ring Around the Rosie with them while I tried to heal myself, but that ended up being more trouble than it's worth. So I devised an alternative plan, and it's called Cowman. I used Cowman to bait as many enemies as I can to attack him while Gromm sneaks past the enemy base. He still got hit a lot, I still had to use items to heal myself, but somehow, someway, I made it past them. Unfortunately, Cowman made the ultimate sacrifice for me, but he will always have a special place in my heart. I will always remember the great times we spent together. R.I.P. my friend. But his sacrifice did not go in vain. I got out of the base and I reached the Pokemon Circle where I was able to release my Pokemon out of his ball. And yeah, I once again managed to beat the entire campaign without building anything. And yeah, I'm also counting that level where they forced me to build a stronghold. I killed everybody way before I had to build it. I'm not gonna admit defeat over a bullshit technicality. This campaign was a bit shorter than the previous ones since there were 3 no-build missions here, but fear not. Next up is the Night Elf campaign, and that one is going to be insane. That campaign is going to be much more difficult, but thankfully most of the levels are going to be completely cheesed into oblivion, and it's going to be glorious. I hope you join me on that journey as well. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you had fun, I know I did. Subscribe if you want to stay tuned for the next one, and I'll see you around. But guess who I won't be able to see in any of my videos ever again? Centaurs.